probably the thing we use the most, and that we use across the board throughout the day, and the kids always get on and want to do, would just be slides. So we thought we'll talk about, maybe we can all kind of just figure out what are some of the ways you're using some slides or Google Drawings to get them a little more excited about things that we used to do on paper. So that's how I find that they're most excited about that. And then sharing them with each other, of course, they're very excited about. So first thing that I noticed when we started using slides is that they are creative, of course, and so they enjoyed just being able to get in and play with everything, and they're not afraid to try stuff and make, they want their words to move and spin, and adding pictures and things. And of course with the Chromebooks, sometimes putting pictures in is different than what they were used to, because we don't right click and copy and paste. And I've noticed with adults in the building, I've shown some of them many times, and then with the kids, we slide in next to them and click on it and Control C and Control V, and then if we want to get rid of it, we Control X, and they're like, okay, so you want to do another one? And they're like, no, I'm good. And then they've got pictures on every slide, and they just pick things up so quickly. So that was good. And so one of the first things that they did in connection with our community projects is that they had to create a slideshow for Lafayette. And so their only requirements there are just a fact about Lafayette. They had to have places to live, places to work, and places for fun in Lafayette. And so, of course, they all had to find their images, they had to put in their words, make things transition, all of that stuff. And so this was just kind of on their own, what they would come up with. And we just made sure that all of the things they found were actually in Lafayette. That was a little bit tricky. And, they had a good time with that, because that's something we used to do in more of just like more of a brochure type thing. So this was much more fun and interesting for them. The next thing that I was going to talk about is just creating templates for them, because the one is fun, but when you have it open-ended like that, they do spend an awful lot of time finding their pictures and spinning their words and changing their fonts and all of those things. So just keeping them more focused on the task and getting the slides completed and what you're actually wanting from them. So I've tried sending out templates that they have to make a copy and rename. And if we do that together, that works well with third grade. If we don't do that together, they're still forgetting to make a copy many times. So I'm having one problem that I was talking to Devin about just a little bit ago, because I have created a template that I sent out, made a copy for each student, and so they've completed that, but I want that template to be available to them always, because it's for a book recommendation. So like, I sent them this where they just type in for the boxes, and so when they complete that, then of course theirs is done. So then the next time they go into that, they get this each time, and they forget to make a copy, and then they're typing over it and it's gone. So I need that template to be somewhere that's available all the time, that they can always pull that template and add it in, because that's something we just used to always keep on the wall in our little library, and now we're trying to do it this way instead, so they, and I've shared them all together so they can read each other's, and they think that's fun. Okay, so that's something I wanted to know how to do. Make a template that they can always find and use that same template each time. In my classroom, we're starting to do kind of a modified Genius Hour. I'm hoping that we started this in early November and just kind of pared it down, a little more structured. We started with Wonderopolis, kind of looking through, find something there, that you're interested in, type in something. If that doesn't come up in Wonderopolis, we were confined to Wonderopolis for this first one. And so they used that to find something that they wanted to research, and they did what they wanted to do, and most of them worked with a partner, some of them in groups of 3. And so from there they were able to share. Some of them did slides for their presentation to share with us, and so they were sharing their slides with their group so that they could work together. And at first, of course, you know, when they share their slides and they're watching each other type, and it's a big deal. But then I'm starting to hear so much more productive conversation while they're working. You know, if they're sitting at the same table and they're working, and you can hear now, instead of like, oh, here I see you typing, they don't say that anymore. Now they're saying, you know, like, that sentence doesn't make sense, or, well, that's not really what we read, you know, whatever, and they're just giving constructive information back to each other, you know, and that's been awesome. And they can do that so quickly because they're just seeing it in real time. And then I was hoping that we could talk about how we are all kind of using this, you know, in ways that they're sharing them with each other, or more creative ways that they're using these kinds of things versus paper, pencil. You know, some of the ways we used to always use paper, pencil, and now putting them more in here. So of course there's shared research. I do have them filling in some WebQuest things on slides. Their literacy circles. I liked your idea of with your notebooking, you know, that their organizers are there. In our literature circles, or their literacy circles, they share with just their group, and you know, each of them has a job within the circle, so they're filling out their part, you know, like if they're the discussion director or they're the vocabulary enrichment person or whatever, so they're each doing their part for each book group meeting, and then they're sharing those as they meet, you know, and going through and talking about that, where they used to always do that on sticky notes. So when I was watching Google Keep, I was thinking, oh, all those sticky notes we always had stuck in our books, but we're doing some of that on slides, so we might play with both and see what's more interesting for them. And then of course vocabulary, and they do a lot of their vocabulary with partners and things, and they'll create their own little set of slides or Google drawings, and that way they can import, you know, they can get the word in and the meaning and import an image and, you know, get a sentence on there, and then they're checking each other, and then they're using that to kind of work together quickly.